Okay, hey guys, so today I am going to be showing you how I handle doing a chunky glitter on a cup. A lot of times chunky glitters don't look the best when you use Mod Podge because your chunky glitters will land on the cup and they're going to be laying all different ways, and it really doesn't give the best look to the glitter. Chunky glitters look the best when they're laid out smooth. So because of that, when I use a chunky glitter, I do not use a Mod Podge method. I actually use a epoxy method. So today I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to measure out my epoxy. Hold on. I have a small thing of epoxy here. I usually use my bigger ones, but I had run out. I had to run to the store, and the store only has small sizes. So I'm trying to use up my small bottles of epoxy. This is the Amazing Clear Cast epoxy, and I usually use the bigger size bottles like this, or even the gallon bottles. But like I said, when you get them at the store, and these are great for people that aren't, making these to sell or making these in bulk, because one of these will get you quite a few cups, really. And you can get them just at your, local Michael's. So I just do even amounts in my medicine cups. I suppose I should probably be doing this in front of here. I'm gonna do probably about a tablespoon and a half of each. Now, I highly recommend using gloves. Every time I see somebody on TV touching it without gloves, it makes me cringe. I'm allergic to it. I'm not like so allergic that I'm going to go into anaphylactic shock or anything like that, but I am very allergic to it in that my eyes get very puffy and my skin will itch if it just touches me a little bit. So I am very careful about it, and I know even if you're not allergic to it, it's still probably not a great idea to just be touching it. So I just make sure, oh actually that's pretty even. Just make sure that it's pretty even, the amounts. And then I pour it into my cup. Let me move this out of the way for a minute so you can see this, although you've seen me mix epoxy before. It's not that exciting. And I'll probably fast forward through this. Okay. So I've got both parts in there. I make sure to scrape each part really well. Part A comes out really easily. Part B comes out very easily. Part A is a little bit thicker and harder to manage, so it takes a little bit longer to get it out. And then I just very slowly mix it. You don't want to mix it too fast. Every once in a while I kind of make like a squiggle in there to mix it together. I try not to lift it up out of the cup very much because that just puts air into it. And then every once in a while I kind of scrape the sides, again trying not to put too much air into it. Excuse me. Okay, now I'm going to do my squiggle S, and you'll see as you're watching it, it gets a little less cloudy each time. It is getting a little less cloudy now. It's still not good. It's a little less cloudy. There are some big bubbles in here. I'd prefer to have the big bubbles over the little bubbles. The big bubbles are easy to pop later on. The little bubbles, not quite as easy. They stick around a lot more. Okay. Okay, scrape the sides again. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my mixed epoxy. I've got my cup on my spinner, and I've got one of these foil pans underneath here to catch my epoxy. And I'm going to start slowly pouring it on and then wiping. Like so. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is, this isn't a swirl, so you don't want to put as much epoxy on it as you would in a swirl because you don't want it to have that effect. In a swirl, like I've shown you in the past, you want to put a lot of epoxy on it because you want to heat it up and you want it to all kind of swirl together and blend. This is not one of those cups. So you want it to be a much thinner coat of epoxy. You still want it to be thick enough to where it's gonna, you know, kind of saturate your glitter, but at the same time you don't want it to be so thick that it's gonna move around a lot. So I'm gonna let that kind of rotate for a minute. I'm gonna take my gloves off. All right, so this has started to even out a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off for a second. And I'm going to give it a second for any excess. If there's any like really big drips on it, they would come off now. And actually, I think I got it pretty good. I might have one drip coming off. And this is the way we get out any excess epoxy from that cup, to make sure that we've got just enough for that epoxy to stick, but not too much that it's gonna swirl. Okay, so it's nice and smooth on the top now. There's just tiny little drips on the bottom, nothing big, so I think we're actually gonna be good. What you don't want are big, long lines of it pouring off of the bottom. You don't want big chunks of epoxy pouring off of the bottom. Little tiny drips shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to start rotating this again. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two types of glitter. I have my, from bulkglitters.com, I have my Glitterati Rainbow. It's an ultra fine glitter. That's going to be for the top part. And then for the bottom part, I have this real pretty chunky glitter. It's two different colors of blue. And this, I actually put it into this container because it came in like a bag. I got this, it's called Under the Sea. It's really pretty if you can see that. I hope you can see that well. I got this on Etsy actually, from Lily's Glitter Shop on Etsy. And it's called Under the Sea. I think I said that already. All right. So I'm going to start off with the Glitterati Rainbow, and I'm just going to pour it on the top part first. Not incredibly thick, because you don't want to waste a lot of this. And when you're doing it epoxy style like this, it's hard to save a lot of your glitter. And now I'm going to do the bottom part. Now, I lift it up a little bit higher when I do the bottom part because it is still a an ombre. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. And with an ombre, the closer you get to the second color, the higher you raise your glitter so that it blends a little bit better and more naturally. I hope that you can see that. Now I'm going to take this beautiful glitter, and I'm going to take this. I want to save as much of this as possible. Hold on. Got one of these pieces of paper. I'm going to move this for a minute. This tray. I'm going to put this down here. And I'm going to take and I'm going to sprinkle my chunky glitter on the bottom here. Oh God, that's beautiful. And again, as I get closer to the white, I raise it up just a little bit more. And when I'm on the bottom, I don't. And now the reason that I made it blue underneath is because it also helps the transition a little bit. You can see a little bit of that blue color through. What I like about the chunky glitters that have a smaller glitter in them too is it helps with the transition as well. I don't know how well you can see that. I wonder if I can zoom in on that a little bit better. You can see that a little. Gosh, that's a gorgeous glitter. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, what I would do is I would let this spin overnight. I do usually put a heater on it because I'm in the basement and it's a little bit chillier down here. So I usually do put a heater, nothing that gets incredibly hot. I usually keep it about 70, and it's like an infrared heater. It's not like a space heater that's hot to the touch. You can touch the front screen of the heater and it doesn't really get that warm. But I use that infrared heater and I will spin it overnight. And then in the morning, it'll be good to go. I can apply whatever, not in the morning, but at some point tomorrow, it'll be good to go and take off. Once it's cured for 24 to 48 hours, depending, then at that point I would be putting my decal on it, and any name or anything like that I might want to put on it, and put my final coat of epoxy on it. Depending on the cup, I might put a coat of epoxy on it before I put my decal and name on it. It just really depends on how the chunky glitter sets up. It might be that it needs another coat of epoxy before you can put anything on it. It really depends, and that's going to be kind of a case-by-case scenario. All right, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'm going to put my Etsy page, I'm going to put my Facebook page, everything down below, links to it. So please click on that, join my Facebook page, like my Facebook page, check out my Etsy, and enjoy. Thanks.